Welcome, humans, to XP Galore. We are your hosts. My name is Rafael, and my favorite 90s cartoon, Ren and Stimpy.
My name is Marcus, and my favorite 90s cartoon was Ronin Warriors.
And my name is Daly, aka the Ancient Dale. My favorite 90s
Commercial?
cartoon. My favorite 90s cartoon was Rocket Power.
Rocket Power. Actually, you know what? Looking back, it's probably Dragon Ball Z when I got more like
I know,
to the teens.
I was kind of thinking of just saying Toonami and just do the broad scope of all of it, but that would be cheating.
That'd be cheating. It's like, I like all of it.
Yeah, honestly, my top three have to go Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and then three, if those two weren't on, I'd be watching Rocket Power on Nickelodeon.
I just liked all the twisted ones, like Rocco, Ren and Stimpy, Courage the Cowardly Dog, like the weird ones.
Metabots was good too.
Metabots.
So,
Oh,
like-
wow, that's old school.
I had like two groups of favorite cartoons, and they were both from Cartoon Network. Like, I had the regular animated Cartoon Network ones, like Ed, Edd and Eddy, Johnny Bravo, Dexter's Lab, Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Yeah.
DD.
Oh, and yes, I watched Powerpuff Girls too.
No shame, buddy. I'm there with you.
DD. Get out of my laboratory.
Sugar, spice, and everything nice. I love it.
Side note, have y'all seen the
Something like-
behind-the-scenes photos they've launched of the CW show of that?
What are you talking about? Wait, what?
Yeah, the CW is filming a Powerpuff Girls show.
They're
Not
making
like
a
a
live
live-
action?
Yeah, it's live
Yeah.
action. Yeah.
What? No, I haven't
What are
seen
these
it.
girls,
That's
like
cool.
5?
No, they're grown women.
Oh.
That's weird.
Well, I
Because
don't know what the
they're
theme
kids.
behind it is.
So instead of Powerpuff Girls, is it Powerpuff Women?
but no, it's
No,
still
you got- yeah.
Powerpuff Girls. Anyways, so I had that one group, but then the other group, like I said before, was just all Toonami. So Reboot, Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z, Ronin Warriors, Gundam
Yeah.
Wing.
Gundam Wing, yes.
What was the one with the robotic? Oh man, I forget. But it was like they got in robot like animals and they fought each other with robot animals.
Why is that?
Oh, man.
Voltron.
Yes, that's.
I was
what
gonna
it
be like,
yeah.
that sounds like Power Rangers, but that's not.
Wait, there's Voltron, and there's Beast Wars.
Well, that was
I
just the
can't remember.
Transformers that
That's
changed. Yeah, they
Transformers.
just changed into animals.
Yeah. Oh
Oh,
yeah,
I
that
love
was, that
Voltron.
was a
Did
good
you
one, too.
watch? Did you watch Voltron on Netflix?
I
Same
saw
thing.
No, is it
I
on
saw the
there?
first season of it. Yeah.
Wait, it's on-
Oh.
it's on Netflix.
Oh my
What's the
god,
new
guys!
version? Yeah.
Yeah, DreamWorks makes it,
Hmm.
and it's the same artist that made Avatar: The Last Airbender.
What about? I bet it might be
Oh.
on Hulu.
It's so good. No, I
No,
think it's
it's
a
on
Netflix.
Netflix.
It's a Netflix
Oh.
exclusive.
No, I meant like the original.
Oh.
Oh yeah. Well, the original one, yeah. I grew up watching Voltron. I love Voltron. My brother actually has the actual Voltron in metal, like the toy, the original old one.
Oh.
He found it like I think it was like last year. He found it at a drift shop. It had some retro stuff in it. And it was the same exact one with the box and everything. And I was like, do it, get it. And he has it. It's awesome.
Nice.
That's throwback.
Nice.
Well,
That's pretty cool. I mean, speaking of, by the way, I watched. I got a HBO Max and I watched Godzilla vs Kong.
yeah. No spoilers.
And no spoilers. Honest review. 3.5 out of 5.
yeah.
Only because
Yeah. Go ahead.
only because I found it was too long, and about halfway I was looking at my phone, and I was really trying to get it like invested into it, but like about halfway, and you know about what part I'm talking about. About
Mhm.
halfway where it just kind of like it slows down.
Mhm.
I was looking at my phone because I'm like, all right, like you've given us a lot of action, and now it's like dead. I'm gonna need you to pick it back up. And so like I was looking at my phone a little bit. My wife and I were watching it. So 3.5 out of 5. I mean, outside of that, it was great. Outside of that dead area, I'm not giving any spoilers. But yeah, I give it a 3.5 out of 5.
What about you, Marcus?
I would kind of agree.
What do
Sorry.
you think?
I would kind of agree with that. I found it to be a little underwhelming. Like, yeah, I get that it's more about the monsters than the human element. I just kind of felt like it was. It ended kind of abruptly. I don't like movies that have like the climactic event and then you're pretty much just done after that. Like, I like some story afterwards to kind of slowly wrap things up. Like, let it breathe.
Yeah.
And then
Yes, exactly.
you can kind of tell that either the director or the screenwriter definitely favored one of the two.
Absolutely.
That's
yep.
not an indication of who wins the fight, but I'm just saying.
Nope.
You can kind of tell that.
I was getting a little annoyed at one point.
Yeah, you can kind of tell that one is definitely the favorite of the two. So
I will tell you this. I did not rewatch, but I went to the highlights of the previous movies. I still like Godzilla King of the Monsters. That one actually was the best one because it had the perfect amount of action. They had a lot of monsters that Godzilla faced. There was variety, and I think there was more at stake. This sequel, I feel like it should have been called Kong versus Godzilla, because they emphasized Kong's storyline more than Godzilla. You know, Godzilla, I felt like he was on the sideline for a bit, and it was more about Kong's journey, if that makes sense. So,
Yeah.
and that's not really a spoiler. It's just something that I noticed, and it was kind of strange. I liked what they went with the storyline with Kong, but I just felt like it was underwhelming compared to the risk that was on the previous movie, that all these monsters came out, and then in the beginning of the Godzilla versus Kong, it's just showing that, you know, I guess it's not a spoiler, guys, but I guess Godzilla is eliminating all the threat, and so was Kong somehow. So it was just showing that they were kind of like the last few. That's why it's kind of like they're gonna eventually meet up, because, you know, they're both apex predators, and
Right.
yeah. So I got it, I get it, but it kind of, I was like, oh man, I wanted to see the other monsters. I wanted to see like King of the Monsters. They had a variety of giant creatures, and I would have liked those epic battles, but it didn't happen, and it was underwhelming. I felt like the battles were a little underwhelming. And there is one thing I want to say: not enough Godzilla fucking screaming, the iconic
Like the early 2000s
dude.
Godzilla.
And
You guys
all the
remember
gods,
that one?
yes, and then even King of the Monsters, when he screamed, you felt the goosebumps, like you're like, yes, it's Godzilla. And this new one, he only did it one time, and then the rest he was making different sounds that I never heard before. And I'm like, oh, he's making growling sounds, but I'm like, that's not his iconic sound. That doesn't sound like Godzilla to me. At one point, I thought I heard him laughing. See what
actually,
I mean?
yes, I think you.
See?
I think you did, because I only know that because I was trolling through YouTube today and I saw there's like a 30-second clip someone recorded, and they call it Godzilla's laugh.
When he finally did, at that point, I was like, that's it. Like, it was anticlimactic, because that's my favorite part.
They should have gave him one when he first introed.
Yes.
You know, like when he first came in.
Yes.
Yeah.
They gave him some screams, but it didn't sound like him. You know, it sounded something else. It sounded like a monster, and that's why I was kind of like iffy, and I didn't know where the story was going. I was like, is that really Godzilla? You know, that's how I was thinking, because I was like, oh man, he doesn't seem like the Godzilla I liked in the previous movie. But that's just me.
My favorite Godzilla part was like I'm referring back to the early 2000s Godzilla, but like when he had the lighter in front of that old Asian guy, and he's like, Godzilla. So every time I've watched like a Godzilla movie and he comes out, I hear that old guy as soon as like Godzilla comes out.
You talking about the 2000?
He's talking about the one with Matthew Broderick.
Godzilla 2000. Okay.
And then I was like, so every time a Godzilla comes out in a newer movie, I'm like, Godzilla. Like as soon as he walks out, I'm like, Godzilla.
Yeah.
I just can't get that out of my brain. Like no matter how, like even when I was watching Godzilla vs Kong, as soon as he came out, I was like, Godzilla.
Yeah.
And my wife was like, what in the world? And I was like, you had to be there.
Well, this has been our unofficial spoiler-free review of Godzilla vs Kong.
Godzilla vs Kong.
Yeah.
Let us know if you want us to do more reviews like this. We are happy to offer our thoughts on films that we watch, because we've kind of already done it in the past.
Our film critic.
I would say I like the 1 to 10 system. The 5 crap confuses me, because I feel like you don't really know how to
percentage
gauge
like
it.
Rotten Tomato.
I would say I'll give it like probably like a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah,
Well,
I'd
I'll
give
say
a
we could-
7.
Yeah,
could
like
do,
close
like, a
to a
Rotten
7. Yeah,
We could do a Rotten Tomatoes percentage. Like I'd give it a 62%.
that doesn't make sense.
Why do you
I never
always have to
understood
be
Rotten-
different?
Yeah, I never.
Because I'm different. I'm built
He's
different.
gotta overcomplicate it.
God.
Because I'm
We're gonna
built-
color code it. I see. This one is a yellow.
This one is more of a fuchsia.
This is more of a what did my wife and I so my wife painted this room. Well, I should paraphrase. I painted the room. She just picked out the color, and it was cabbage. No. Oh,
Is it
horseradish. It was a horseradish white.
That's confusing. Huh. Oh,
And by the way, if you're listening to this, I love you very much, and you're the woman of my dreams. Anyways,
wow. Oh, can I drop
beautiful
this?
color, beautiful color, by the way.
Yes.
I do have a question, guys. I've been watching Dragon Ball Super. I'm finally watching
Okay.
it. Do you guys know who Trunks is?
Yes.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Sarcastic.
All right. So what is his color of hair?
Like a
Lavender.
light purple.
Right?
Yeah, I was
Okay.
gonna say,
Okay.
like
Oh,
like a lavender, light purple.
What's light purple?
Lavender.
Technically. Lavender.
Like
Okay.
a lavender
All right.
type,
Thank
yeah.
you. Thank you. So I watched Super and I was confused because Trunks is in it, but they changed his color to blue.
Yeah, there are some
So I
some
was
of the saga
confused.
that his hair is blue. That is
Yeah,
that
but
is
it
correct.
was weird. It was like it's blue. It's like Bulma's color, his mom, and then the past Trunks, his hair is still the classic color that we all love and know. You know,
But
we know and
future
love.
Trunks is different though.
No, because the future Trunks came back. I know, guys. This is a weird rant. I just wanted to throw that out there. It was bothering me. I was like, why did they change his color? I don't get it. But I had a friend of mine that we had a discussion, and he's like, it's light purple, and I was like, bro, light purple is practically like pink. There's no such thing as a, I don't know, like a light purple. I feel like you saying, oh, it's like a light black. What's a light black? It's a gray.
Gray.
Gray or,
Exactly.
or charcoal. Yeah.
Like a matte
See?
black. Like a matte black.
Yes, or gunmetal black. Like no matter what, if it's not black, it gets lighter. It's gonna be a version of a gray. So nah. All right, I just wanted to throw that out there. I know it was random.
That's extremely random.
It is really, really random.
Well,
Anyways,
gentlemen,
Marcus, news brings us to our gaming news for this podcast.
Oh, is that your segue? We don't even care how each other are doing. I see how it is.
Oh,
Catch up.
but
yeah. How are we doing?
Before we get into each other's news, I would be remiss if I didn't at least bring this up real fast. Just sorry to bring the mood down just for a second, but I do want to somberly bring to everyone's attention, if you hadn't heard, as of a day or two ago, the acclaimed rapper DMX passed away at age 50. So our thoughts
icon in our hood.
Yes, our thoughts and condolences go out to his friends and family. I have to say, and I hope you guys back me up on this, that I find it deplorable that some news outlets on Twitter announced his death prematurely.
That's messed up.
Because they were trying to get the word out
First.
They announced it was an outlet or two on Friday night that said something, and then they pulled their tweets immediately, and then it was Saturday morning, afternoonish when it was officially announced. So, anyways,
But
His manager even made a video about it, saying that he was still alive.
yeah. So
wow, R.I.P. man. R.I.P.
rest in power to Earl Simmons, aka DMX, one of the major Rough Riders of the late '90s, early 2000s.
Yes.
If you aren't familiar with his music, I would highly suggest you go on wherever you listen to your music at and catch a few of his songs, which you probably know them anyways, even if you don't know it's DMX. But yeah, absolutely. He will surely be missed. So, anyways,
honestly, on a side note though, a lot of these top tier musical artists are dying at 50.
you got other examples?
Yeah, I want to know who.
Michael Jackson.
Did he? Was he 50?
Yeah. Prince.
Really?
Yeah.
I really, I
Prince
don't,
was
I don't
close.
know.
Prince was close to 50. He was like maybe
Okay, but
late 40s,
He wasn't 50.
but I said around 50.
He was
they're
50,
dying
he
around
was 57.
was
Yeah, see,
57.
around 50.
You said 40s.
I'm confused.
Michael Jackson did pass away at 50. Yes.
Yeah. So,
Well, that's they had a rough life. They had
Well,
that party
because
life.
there's
you know?
also the, I want to call it a conspiracy theory, but like there's like the 26, is it the 26 or the 27 club? I think it's the 27 club of famed musicians that died at 27.
Oh, yeah.
Like Kurt Cobain, Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Was Heath Ledger 27?
no, he was older than that.
Tomato.
Other than the ages that musicians died, gentlemen, how are we doing?
We're doing good. How about you? I want to know
I don't
about
know,
you
but
first.
whoa, that sigh says differently.
Oh no, that's just I'm actually excited. I'm about to go on vacation. I just need a quick I need to regenerate, like just
okay.
energy. Working
Gotcha.
overnight, you know how it is. Just long story short, it's just body is not agreeing with me, but I'm super excited. I need a break, and I'm about to get that break, so can't wait. I've been playing with my daughter Super Mario 3D World. Extremely stressful, guys. Like super stressful game. Oh my god. Yeah, it's so hard. And then you play multiplayer, you guys can affect each other, and we're fighting to be number one as well. So it's like kind of co-op, but not. It's competitive. It's hilarious. It's I love it, but it gets under my skin. But highly recommend it. It's fun.
You're not swaying me on this at all.
No, it is fun. It is on the Switch, guys. I love this game, but when you play multiplayer, it's a totally different demon. This game is evil. Evil as you know. But yeah.
Very interesting. Okay. Well, I'm doing okay. I too
Yeah,
am
you
going
got
on.
your second shot.
Yeah.
How you doing that? Let the people know how you doing on that.
Well, I haven't developed 5G superpowers. I haven't received
Dang
my
it.
orders from Bill Gates yet.
5G
Dang it.
superpowers.
Yes, I did get my second Pfizer shot on this past Thursday, and it took 24 hours for me to feel the side effects, and I was down all day. The next day, I was in bed, sleeping all day. I had chills at some point, had a real bad headache.
But that's only because you have pre-existing conditions and your body's pretty much trying to accept the last part. portion of that shot, right?
Possibly. I don't know if that was necessarily a contributing factor, but I mean, I've heard stories from all different people who have gotten the vaccine, ranging from they haven't felt anything.
Yeah.
I know a gentleman who got both shots and reacted negatively to both shots.
Huh.
So
Wow.
I think it just depends on who you are, to be honest with you. But
Yeah.
if you asked me to go do all of that again, I happily would, because I
Good.
feel good now that I am vaccinated.
You're free.
I feel comfortable
Travel
traveling.
the world.
Yay,
I'm
you're
still
free.
wearing masks wherever they're required, because I'm not about to break rules just to arrogantly flaunt my vaccine card. I'm going to do whatever stores tell me to do. But
now you can wear cool masks now, like really unnecessary masks.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
you can walk around in an Iron Man mask.
Yeah, a helmet. Right? Come in with a Mandalorian helmet.
Catch me
throughout
walking
the
around a
airport.
Walmart in an Iron Man suit, sure. But yeah, other than that,
Somebody walks up to you. My levels are high.
other than that, I too am going on vacation around the same time that Ralph, you get back from yours.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it in my wheelhouse. Daily, how are you doing?
Am fallen in love. No, I'm kidding. I've been good. Taking a break from zombies, still holding that strong, not touching the zombies at all. After I hit level 100, I feel great. Been playing Brawlhala on the Xbox. If you guys are new to that, drop your gamer tag down below, and I will totally kill you, and I will destroy you.
That's reassuring.
Maybe, I'm not sure. I don't know how good. There are some people that are like the old school Mortal Kombat style people that you have to wait for them to mess up so you can counter, and hopefully your counter hits. I played one of those kids, and I almost shed a tear, but then I realized that it's a video game and my life is worth better than that. Outside of that, I'm doing good, man. Gym's finally back open, getting my workouts on a lot better, more efficiently with heavier weight. Um, this week was crazy. I ref high school football, so I was playing a lot of 8-man. I was literally 5 days out of this week. I was refing football. Yesterday, I refereed the USA's flag football, so that was fun. So yeah, so I've just been just kind of just hanging back, enjoying life, and playing video games that don't stress me out. But yeah,
You gotta point out those games for me, because all the games I've been playing stress me out.
well, Elon Musk says that he plays Overwatch to relax. So
It reminds me, if any of you watch that Netflix show, House of Cards with Kevin Spacey.
Did not
oh
watch
yeah,
it,
yep.
but I know
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, he's a high stress politician in Washington D.C. His character is, and he sits in a room and plays Call of Duty, or was it? It was either Call of Duty or it was Killzone. One of the two, some sort of first person shooter. But yeah, that was his stress reliever. So it's funny you said that. Well, yeah. To kind of segue into the news, we don't have a whole lot. Rolf does have something he does want to bring up. I just want to very briefly recap on something we discussed last week. This is the official Ludwig check. Last week we discussed Ludwig, the streamer that's on the subathon.
Okay.
Spoiler
Oh,
alert,
yeah.
it's still not over.
Oh Jesus,
Oh, God.
It's day 27, I think.
what's he doing? Does he record himself?
Currently,
well,
he's
apparently on
working
Twitch.
out.
So what I saw on
Oh.
Twitch is that apparently it's you can watch Amazon movies on Twitch because they are linked together, and you won't get DMCA'd, you won't get like banned or anything if you watch any movies that are on Amazon on your stream.
Really?
So you can do like movie reviews through Amazon while you stream.
I'm just kind of curious what that has to do with Ludwig.
Well, because you're talking about the endless stream, and I'm telling you like how people can get away with subathons. Is that they do that.
So anybody can get away with something like that. It's the max that Twitch will let you stream in one time is 48 hours. So once he hits 48 hours, he has to stop and restart the stream. But he does that in under a minute, so it still counts.
Ooh.
That's crazy.
But I've seen him go over this past week. I do check in because I am one of those terrible human beings that doesn't actually sub, and I'm really just here for the spectacle of it. I've seen it go as low as a minute, and then somebody gives like 10 subs or something. But apparently, within the last day or so, he matched every gifted sub for a certain period of time, and now he's put himself back up to over 10 hours. So,
Oh jeez.
so he's probably gonna hit that 31-day cap. But
Wow.
you know what? Good for him.
That's
Good for him.
So
That's awesome, though.
Impressive. That's
almost a month.
yeah, it's gonna be a month. He's gonna do 31 days straight. So, but
That's
yeah,
pretty
I
cool.
just wanted to briefly say something about that since I know we talked about it last week. But more importantly, Rolf, what was it that you brought to our attention?
What did I bring to your attention?
Oh my God, the remake, the remake news.
I know. I got this. All right. All right. So what happened was, right? Sony, they got a franchise, right? It's amazing. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called The Last of Us. And apparently, yeah, I know. It's baffling. You know, I don't understand how you have not. But another thing, I don't know, Marcus, if you heard that they're gonna make an HBO show out of this.
Yes, I did know that.
Do you know who's gonna play Joel?
Pedro Pascal.
Okay, who's gonna play Ellie?
I unfortunately forget her name, but I know she was in Game of Thrones.
That is correct. She's in Game of Thrones, and I don't know her name either. But
What character?
she's gonna be playing Ellie. I'm bad with name, guys.
No, what game?
Oh,
of
which
Thrones
character?
I also
Hey,
don't
hey,
know that because
I don't know because
I've only
I don't.
seen like
I
the
don't.
first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones, but I know she wasn't in those 4 seasons. She's
Hey, I have HBO Max. I'm gonna play catch up. So calm down, guys, for the Game of
Oh,
Thrones guys.
yeah.
But I heard the
Red
ending
Wedding.
sucked. I
Red
heard that.
Red Wedding.
I
Red
got that.
Wedding.
Yes,
We got
I
it.
got to
We
that
got
part.
it.
Yeah. But anyways, Sony announced that they're gonna remake Last of Us Part 1. Now, my feelings about this. Why? The game is only what 8 years old. They already made a remaster. It came out in the last year of the PlayStation 3. They remastered it shortly after for the PS4. Now they're gonna make it for the PS5. Now is it gonna be from the ground up? It sounds like it's going to be ground up, and it's probably gonna use similar mechanics to Last of Us Part 2. If they're gonna revamp the gameplay a little bit, I still feel like you shouldn't touch a masterpiece so early. It still holds up today if you play the original Last of Us. I feel like Sony's running out of ideas, and that's just again my opinion. Whether they have a game plan out of this, I've been reading online. A lot of people feel similar to what I'm thinking. Why so soon? That's kind of strange. I'd prefer a new IP, or heck, I would prefer a sequel. But we don't even know if that's going to happen either, or the Last of Us 3 because of the negative backlash of the storyline people were crying about. Uh, but yeah, it's kind of confusing to me, and also they rejected Days Gone 2
Oh my god.
because it didn't make as much revenue as they expected and they were hoping for, and the reviews weren't as great. Now, I played the game. My complaint about the game was it felt a lot like other games I've played, which is not a bad thing. It felt like Metal Gear Solid 5 to me, open world. Um, but my critique of that game was it dragged so long, and the exciting parts happened like mid to the end of the game, and that game was super super long. Storyline super long, and being a completionist, it was. I don't even understand if that's a complaint. It's just more of a, I guess, the pace they could have worked on. But it bummed me out that they rejected a part two. So, your thoughts, guys? What do you think? Um,
So
yeah,
what you're saying to me is that the flow chart wasn't there for you. The flow zone wasn't there for you in that game.
it started out slow. It's one of those games that you have to invest time, and you have to gather resources, hook up your bike and all that stuff. Gameplay wise, it felt exactly like similar games I played. Game mechanics that I played. Metal Gear, you have to like rescue certain people or eliminate enemies from their base to take over their base, and it becomes like fast travel for you. Things like that. It felt very similar, but it was underwhelming in the beginning. Until you get stronger, you get better abilities, you level up your skill set. Then the game became really fun. And then the big mechanic of that game, Days Gone, was the horde. Those creatures that chase you. It's horrifying. It's adrenaline pumping, but it was far apart. It wasn't sooner than what I wanted to experience it. And by the
Mm-hmm.
time you get to that point and you were ready and strong enough to do it, that's where the game picked up for me. And that's like midway through the game, like a little bit more past midway the game. But that's just my opinion. And I'm kind of bummed out because at the end I was like, wow, this game was actually fun at the end, but I had to push through all the mechanics that I'm already used to in other games, and I was like, it didn't have that wow factor. But the story to me was enough to keep me going because I wanted to know the character's story arc. Where is he gonna end up? Because it was actually touching, and if I was in a situation like that, I put myself on his shoes. That's why I kept playing. I was like, oh wow, that's crazy. And then when stuff started happening, I was like, this game is exciting now, but it's too late. It was
Too
way
late
too
for
late.
your drive, your
Yeah,
motivation
no,
to
I,
finish
I
the
was
game.
afraid for everyone else because I was like, I was invested. I was willing to put the time, but I know other people have like other things to do. Like not that many gamers have that time to invest on a game, or like people like to play multiplayer games now, and it's easier to pick up a multiplayer game, have fun for a few 30 minutes, an hour, and then put it down. This game, you had to do so much that hour, 2 hours, 3 hours until it felt like you accomplished something. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, totally.
So I played Days Gone when it first dropped and when it was a lot buggier than it is now.
Mm.
And the bugs are what turned me off of it.
I got
Specifically,
lucky. I didn't go through it.
Specifically, the bug where you would be in an empty field and a horde would just spawn right on top of you.
Are you
Oh,
kidding me?
beautiful.
That happened to you?
Yeah, that happened to me one time, but that wasn't necessarily what turned was the final straw for me. But I think it's a combination of what you've already said. Like, it didn't necessarily feel 100% authentic. Like, it did feel a little bit like I'd played this before. Also, this is just nitpicky. I felt the main character, Deacon, if I remember
Deacon.
right, that was his name.
Yeah.
He was way too aggressive for me. Like, I remember driving around and he would just under his breath, just like snarl at people and just be real angry all the time. And I was like, "Sir, do you need a Snickers? Like, what's wrong?"
Okay, well, that's why I was confused with the story arc as well. Like, I was thinking the same way. I was like, man, this guy is dark. And then you see his backstory and then what happened to him. And then when you keep playing and then you see what he went through, you're like,
I can respect that. Like
That's
I said,
what happened.
I never finished the game, so I can only speak to my small time with it. But
It's free on PlayStation, right? PlayStation Plus? I thought they had it.
that is correct. Yeah. Just briefly, since I was going to bring that up, this month's PlayStation Plus games are Days Gone and Oddworld Soulstorm, which is a brand new game from the team that made the original Oddworld.
Oh,
So
wow,
you're
I'm
getting a
gonna download
brand new Oddworld game for free on PlayStation. So add that to your library. Even if you don't plan on playing it right now, you would be
You
doing
download
yourself
it
a
later.
disservice.
Definitely.
But
I'm gonna download that.
yeah, to kind of shine some more light on the original story of the Last of Us remake too. I think the controversy is not only the fact that we're getting a Last of Us remake possibly, but also that the story behind it was that it was a smaller support related studio known as Visual Art Service that Sony owns. But the name of the studio was Visual Art Service Group. And by the way, I am reading this from an article on Polygon, but the original journalist that did the article he's an acclaimed video games journalist who's done a lot of different stories. His name is Jason Schreier. He works for Bloomberg now. So if you ever hear that name in the future or in the past, Jason Schreier, just know he's really tapped into the video game journalism world. But anyways, so he originally dropped the story that originally Visual Art Service Group was going to take on a PS5 remake for Last of Us. It got approved, but not a whole lot of support went into it from higher up in Sony. And then that remake was taken from them and handed over to Naughty Dog. And then Visual Arts Service Group was relocated just to a support role to help Naughty Dog finish Last of Us Part 2 and maybe some other smaller projects. So the big controversy here is that with that alongside of the Days Gone sequel that you mentioned being shot down, it's starting to seem, unfortunately, like Sony might be trying to put its eggs in its giant first party basket and isn't working as much on helping new IPs flourish. And of course, there could be a lot more behind this. There could be a lot of like business stuff behind this as well, but it just sounds like Sony is trying to maybe do some reorganization and some talent and workforce focusing into the heavy hitters, which is kind of unfortunate because if y'all remember, like Microsoft at a time was kind of accused of that. Like with their Xbox team, all they were really focusing on was like Gears and Halo, and not really focusing on this on the smaller stuff, which is now why in the past few years Xbox has purchased so many studios to be under their first party umbrella because they want to be known for first party exclusives as well.
Yeah.
So I would hate to see the pendulum swing against Sony in that aspect, but unfortunately that's kind of what the evidence is looking at this moment. So who knows, man? I mean, Naughty Dog did a great job, but I agree. I don't think The Last of Us is in need of a full-on remake. I mean, if they're adding stuff to make it more like the graphical assets of Part 2, I mean, okay, that's fine, but I don't think that should be all that Naughty Dog focuses on.
No, I think Naughty Dog could do more, like, or start a new IP or work on something they already created a sequel.
Mhm.
I would prefer sequels than going back. And it's so early in the game. Like, it's just like the game is not that old, and like I said, it really holds up. It still looks gorgeous, and I would have actually preferred Sony to look back into their PS1 games and bring something back from the good old days. Like I don't know if you guys played that. Oh man, I forgot it. I forgot the name. It was a airplane game. Oh, they did remake it. Never mind. I'll take that back. It
Flight Simulator.
no, no, it was a game. It was Warhog.
Mm.
Mm.
It was an airplane game on the PS1, and then I forgot that in the PS3 they tried to make it online multiplayer, and it tanked so quickly. So I take that back. But just games like that, just go back to PS1. PS1 library is huge. PS2 library is huge. Just bring something back, and I would understand if they remaster something that way,
Mm.
like Ico, or how they did with um Shadow of the Colossus.
Mhm.
That to me made sense. They actually went to a PS2 game and they've remastered it from the ground up onto the PS4, and I was like, that's cool. I actually would prefer that. That's a couple generations back. But to do something that's last gen, technically again because they remastered it already, weird.
Yeah.
It's really weird. But yeah,
Yeah.
that
Well,
that's
we'll
weird.
we'll have to just keep an eye on it and see, and hopefully, I honestly feel like Sony needs to get ahead of this from a PR perspective, and either give something to reassure people that the big handful of blockbusters they have is not their only sole focus, or on their next quarterly state of play they have some smaller stuff coming that they really want to showcase, that they're putting a lot of resources into as well. So
Yeah, what they should have done is created Days Gone 2 and had Naughty Dog help out. Reverse the script and make Days Gone 2 better. That's it.
maybe, I guess we just have to keep an eye on it. So,
All
but
right, so go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say,
We're gonna
speaking
talk
of things
yes
that we don't like.
things that we don't like.
Yeah, for our last little bit of the show tonight, I thought it would be a fun little topic to discuss. What video game mechanics do we absolutely hate in video games? These are things that a developer makes the player do, or they could be tropes that you see in a variety of different games that you hate that's a thing in just a video game in itself. So, Rolf, you sounded like you had some several different ones. So I'll have you like focus on those in a second. But Daily, you sounded like you also had one that was like burning on your mind. So what? Bring up yours real fast. Oh God.
I
I like how he
abs-
clears his throat right in our ears.
I absolutely hate 100% when a game comes out and it's not fully developed mechanically. I hate that with a passion more than I hate frogs,
Please do
because
elaborate.
there is nothing like, well, what I mean by that is mostly next gen. If you've ever played a next gen game, a lot of it is bad. And what I mean by bad is like there's a lot of bugs, there's a lot of error codes. So for instance, I've been playing Call of Duty, and so like when I first got Cold War on the S Series S, there was like you would get the perk like the max ammo or whatever, but like the glowy green thing would be on the left and the max ammo symbol would be on the right, and you didn't know where to run because you didn't know where to grab it. And so like that was the confusing part. Also, like randomly, like I'd be playing zombies and then like I'd be running straight and then all of a sudden I'm to the left and then I'm back to the straight, then I'm to the left. um Stuff like that. I know it's bugs, but like also like mechanically, like like it moves too slow, or like you're trying to like shoot but it's not registering that. That's the kind of mechanics that I don't like in games. Like back when PS3, man, PS3, like there was so much focus in the PS3 days and the Xbox 360 days. It was focused on mechanics. Like they developed and they focused on the mechanics. Whereas as we saw when the Xbox One came out and then the PlayStation 4 came out, we saw a lot of like pay to play, and then games kind of became like multiplayer or like campaign games outside of these indie games. Like I'm talking like the big honcho games. The gameplay was kind of like and the mechanics were like and so for me, like that really irritates me. That like, for instance, there was a big thing this year with next gen 2K Sports, which is like that owns like NBA 2K. They own WWE. They'd actually held back WWE 2K22 or whatever. I'm not a wrestling fan, but I saw it that they held it back because they said they couldn't do the mechanics for the game on the new console. But when I read that what they were doing for 2K22 because they didn't bring out 21, is that they're still doing the same like frames per second. So like my question is like, what's the difference in next gen consoles that if you're keeping the same frame rate, what's the difference in mechanical issues? Because for me, I just feel like if you're gonna do the same frame rate, there shouldn't be a delay in a game. There shouldn't be any kind of adjustment for the new mechanics. I could understand if they're going to like 4K or whatever. I understand there's like different frame rates for that, but like if you're just doing 1080, there's no excuse in my book. And I'm just gonna leave it at that because I could ramble on for like the next hour and a half about next gen gaming consoles.
Incomplete games.
Well, so just to kind of clarify a bit, sometimes that has to do with the fact that just because like if we're talking about a generational leap between a PlayStation 4 and a PlayStation 5, those are two different architectures you have to program for. So
it's a major difference. Yeah.
So it's almost like trying to code a game for a Windows PC system and then being told you also need to try to make it for like a Mac system. And those are two completely different architectures. And so there's a lot of work that has to go into that. That's what happened, unfortunately.
They're learning as they're making it.
Yeah, and that's unfortunately what happened a lot with Cyberpunk. The reason why one of the many reasons why that ended up the way it did was because the game was announced towards the latter edge of 2 generations ago. Yeah. So they were planning on just releasing it for last gen, which is PS4, Xbox One. Right. But unfortunately, the development of that game took so long that they started pushing into the launch window for what's now current gen. And so then they had to kind of update their plans to start accommodating for that architecture, which then puts a wrench in what they're doing for the past architectures. Yep. And so there's a lot going on with that. So I can understand your frustration, Daily, like why it seems like they have to sort of take more time than what might be considered necessary, but sometimes it has to do with that kind of stuff. Now, I've always found it kind of interesting that like you have sports games that release year to year, and they like to tout what they're doing differently. And I understand that you can make some subtle advances in sports games from year to year to make them more realistic or to make them control better, but for the most part, it just seems like it's kind of the same thing.
It is.
But hey, that's coming from somebody that does not play sports games, so I could be.
Yeah, I don't like sports games. Yeah.
But just so we're all clear, Daily, your main gripe is games with unfinished mechanics or stuff that's not fully fleshed out. Would that be correct?
I guess so. Daily, did you mute us?
I think he muted himself.
I didn't mean to. My bad.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, what I was saying. No, you're good. What I was saying is that like I agree with Marcus because when the game's not fully developed, that inside of that becomes mechanical issues. So, but my thing is with the whole the next gen thing is these gaming companies cannot make that excuse because they were actually getting their hands on the system 6 to 8 months before we were. Like the company Sony And Microsoft, they were saying, here's our console. We know that you're game developers. You give us a lot of money, like Call of Duty, like Madden, like FIFA, like all these companies. They were literally giving them consoles. They were already made, ready to go. So these companies had the game 6 to 8 months in advance. And if you're going to give me the same thing that I can play on the PS4, but for the PS5, there should be no glitches. There should be no mechanical errors. It should be a flawless game, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's just it doesn't translate. The transition from last gen to current gen, sometimes there's a gap with the power, so they have to accommodate to make sure that they can make it for the last gen and the current gen. So their easy fix for that is they make it in a way that it can meet up in between, that it won't affect so much of the coding, so much of the graphics, the difference of the graphics. This is why the beginning games of next gen or current gen, I guess you want to say now, with the PS5 and Xbox Series, is that they're still learning. That's like saying you're getting a place. Let's say, actually, PlayStation 1. Let's say like you see PS1 graphics, like, oh wow, it's 3D, everything's animated, it's pretty cool, but you can see the blockiness of it. But then the next gen comes out, and I'm gonna over exaggerate this, and they come out with a PS3, and they're like, all right, you see that PS1 game? Make a game on the PS3. It's confusing. It's so much learning. They're actually making a lot of errors. There's a lot of glitches, and it's not enough time for them to meet up with how powerful the console is to meet up with the way they want to make the game. The best example I have actually is Uncharted Part 1. Uncharted Part 1 tried to use all the gimmick of the PlayStation 3. And if you play it now, that's my least favorite Uncharted because of the control mechanics. I wanted to use the 6-axis, the tilt censoring, and all that stuff. I did not enjoy it. And then Uncharted 2 came out, and the graphics is phenomenal. I was like, wow, the graphics leap was immense. It was exaggeratedly good. And I'm like, but it came out on the same console. What's the difference? The difference was that they didn't know how to make a game when they made Uncharted 1 on the PlayStation 3. They learned, and then when they made the sequel, they had all the firepower. They knew how to use all the horsepower of the console, and that's why the game came out looking phenomenal, and the controls came out looking phenomenal. So yes, I agree about the game mechanics. It kind of sucks that they can't make it right the first time, but we're lucky that this generation allows them to update it and come out with updates and patch the games. Because imagine if a game comes out and there was no patches. Imagine that. Imagine
They'd have to mail out new discs.
what?
Yeah.
That would have been incredible. That would have been disastrous. You know how many games would have just... The video game industry would have been done if there was no updates like that. But that I get it. That's why when the first batch of games comes out, I'm a little hesitant picking them up. I have to study them, and I wait sometimes for patches. Like Cyberpunk, I still haven't played it because I'm still waiting. 1.2 patch came out? Was it, Marcus? Is that right?
Yeah, 1.2.
1.2.
Mm-hmm.
And there's still a little glitches on it, but my thing was that I actually was more excited for Cyberpunk to be a PS5 and a series version of it. I wanted the actual next gen. This is still the last gen console game. So until they come out with that actual upgraded version, that's what I want to play, because I feel like it gave them enough time to learn their glitches and learn how to fix it and update it. And I just have to be patient. So yeah, that's a bummer though. I agree with you, Daily, but I kind of give them a little bit of leeway because it is a new generation and it's kind of difficult. But if it was current, like a console that they've been making games back to back, like Call of Duty, making so many versions of Call of Duties on that same console and still having glitches, then yes, I 100% agree with you. I kind of feel like they should have known what to do by then. Correct?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Okay. So I get that. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus, what you got?
Mine's gonna be real quick because it's pretty straightforward, and I think that many gamers share this sentiment. In a game, I absolutely hate an escort mission. 100%.
Yes.
Like
Babysitting?
I hate babysitting. I hate NPCs that you have to escort that move incredibly slow. They can't defend themselves. And sometimes you have to. I've played games where you have to restart a checkpoint because something happens with that NPC where it's either bugged out or something, and they won't advance forward. I find escort missions to be incredibly time consuming and wasteful. I remember in a lot of the Assassin's Creed titles, there's some escort missions that just annoyed the piss out of me. So
I couldn't play Dead Rising because of that.
oh yeah, well, Dead Rising is definitely a good example because of how hard that is. Like, imagine escorting an NPC that doesn't play very well through a horde of zombies. Like, come on now.
Nah, that was
what are you
super
doing
frustrating.
with your life? Yeah. So, I just in all the really good games that I think of, not once have I remembered there being like an escort mission in that where it was, or there was like a spin to it. Like, take God of War, the 2018 God of War, for example. You have a permanent NPC escort mission. However, the NPC fights back, right?
And it doesn't die.
Exactly. The kid takes care of himself. So
that's good. That was a perfect example.
Yeah. So that's, in my opinion, that's exactly how it should be done. So, but yeah, like I said, my pet peeve mechanic that I absolutely hate playing is escort missions, and I hope video game companies in the future stop making escort missions.
Yes.
Just do away with them.
Yes.
We don't need it. Go away.
No,
Moving on, right? Just don't even bring them up.
But
right.
yeah, round us out, Rolf. What you got?
Okay, there's two of them only because the games that I enjoy, you really need these mechanics, but when they do it wrong, it's really frustrating. The cover systems, taking cover. I love stealth games. I love hiding. I like when the enemies are smart enough to like take a look at a corner and like, hey, there's somebody there. You know, like that's why I like Metal Gear. But if you do it wrong, and you're running and you want to do something else and you press a button and you take cover on a moment that you didn't want to and they spot you because of it, super annoying. You know, like you're trying to get off the corner, you're like, no, I don't want to cover. It bothers me so much. And the other one, which I feel like every game and their mother has been doing this, is the quick time button pressing on cutscenes. For the love of God. I get it. Let me just watch it. I sometimes put the controller down and then it just shows the X button. I'm like, oh, and I like messed up. And then I play so many different consoles. The buttons are not the same layouts. So I confuse my X's. I keep forgetting where the X is. And I make mistakes. So that, I feel like they should just move away from it. I know they want to make the cutscenes cinematic, but it's just not exciting anymore. I'll leave it with this one actually. Avengers, that Avengers game that came out, Square Enix.
Oh yeah, such a letdown.
Okay, so you know it has quick time pressed, right? Like you have to press the buttons. Do not press the buttons. Guess what happens? Nothing. The screen just slows down and freezes, and the button just stays there waiting for you to press it. You will not get a game over. It just freezes and makes you press the button. It is useless. It's not really adding to the story. It's not showing you get a game over. It's not showing an animation of you dying. It just literally freezes. It gives you that false illusion that you're interacting with the storyline. That is annoying and a waste of time. Please stop. That's it.
So what do you feel about games that's like the core mechanic almost? Like
God of War did it good in the beginning. Because that's how God of War kind of did. And it felt fun.
Even more so than that, like any of the PlayStation titles that come from
Spider-Man does it.
Quantic Dream? No.
Oh, yeah. Like the
like
storytelling games,
yeah,
like
Detroit Become
games.
Human.
Yeah, but those are different. That mechanic is literally the game. You understand?
Yes.
That is the game, so you know what you're getting yourself into. That's different. I'm talking about games that you're playing, like you're playing Metal Gear and you're like super excited, and we all know Metal Gear has a crap ton of cutscenes, and they tend to be long. Now imagine you putting down the controller because you just had an awesome battle with a boss and you defeated him. You put the controller down. You're watching the cutscene. All of a sudden, there's a quick time that you mess up, and you just die.
Okay.
That's frustrating. And I'm like, oh, how was I supposed to know? Like, that irks me. But other games like God of War, you came in like knowing that's what's gonna happen. But then every game after that started using the same formula, even Resident Evil 4. And I love Resident Evil 4. And it's still well done. I get it. But a lot of games after that started using that same feature of button mashing or quick reactions on pressing the button to dodge or it just got too much. I'm like, all right, I just want to when I succeed on a game that's very difficult or just succeed on something on a boss battle, I want to watch a cutscene and then play again after. It's a cutscene.
Yep. I can agree with that. And then for your other point that you made about cover systems, yeah, I've encountered some almost game-breaking, frustrating cover mechanics where it's like you're trying to get up against a wall or something, especially if it's like supposed to be touted as like a stealth section of the game, and then you're trying to hide, and then you don't hide properly, and you just end up just wasting
walking out and looking at them, and they look at you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know we keep talking about Metal Gear on this show, but like
I love Metal Gear.
Metal Gear had stealth mechanics down very well. Don't add us. If you do add us, then you better have a good alternative game.
Yeah, Metal Gear.
So,
I can only think Metal Gear. I don't like Splinter Cell.
Did you ever play on PlayStation 1? Did you ever play Tenchu?
I did. I didn't like it actually.
The ninja one, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like it. It was weird. The stealth wasn't there. It meant well, but it's not.
I wonder what
Metal Gear had.
I wonder what like a PS5 Tenchu stealth assassin game would be like these days.
Well, Sekiro was supposed to be a Tenchu game.
That's true.
And they made their own spin-off, and they made Shadow Dies Twice. That's the name of it, right?
Yeah, Shadow Dies Twice.
Yeah.
Which is also an amazing game.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's gonna do it for us tonight. For all of you that were listening and or watching, let us know what video game mechanic you hate. We're curious to see if you agree with us or your hates match up with ours, or if you got something else that just absolutely irks you. I do want to just give a quick shout out to everybody that's already followed us on all our social medias as well as our YouTube channel. We appreciate all the love that we get from you all.
Yes,
and we are still in the process of uploading episodes in bulk on Buzzsprout. Currently, we have our season of Left 4 Dead 2 that's up, as well as our season for Phasmophobia. So you can catch the audio versions of those as well, and hopefully by the next episode, we'll have both our Sea of Thieves season up as well as our Deep Rock Galactic one. So, Daily, where can they find us?
They can definitely find us on Twitter at XP Galore, as well as they can also find us on Instagram at XP Galore, and soon TikTok. We're still trying to figure out the route we want to go with there. If we want to do bloopers, if we just want to do little scenes from our show, give us some intake on down below what you would like to see us do for TikTok. And then also on YouTube at XP Galore. Subscribe, like all of us, and as well as also don't forget hit that notification bell so that way you get a notification every time we release a new episode.
Yeah.
All right, Rolf, send us home, buddy.
All right, everyone, we love you. Thank you for listening. Be safe, take care, and remember, wear a mask. I am Rafael.
I am Marcus, and I'm going to do you one better. Wear 2 masks.
I'm Daily, and make sure you get your shot and still wear a mask.
That's fun. Good job.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.